Hi, Hill. Great to see you. It's fantastic to finally have the book out. How are you feeling? And what's what's your favorite part of the book now it's out, or your favorite thing about the book?
Well, I think the book turned out really well. I think Elgar did a wonderful job. And I think that what works well, and I don't know if it's a favorite part, but I do think the structure works very well. In that, in the beginning, we look at the challenges to critical literacy presented by changes in the context, the post-truth era, social media, AI. And then we invited people who had produced influential frameworks around the world to reconsider their frameworks in the light of these challenges. But we didn't want to leave it with challenges. So the last section, which is actually quite long, as you know, has got excellent practice from people all over the world that we think will be exciting for readers. And I think the first section is pretty theoretical for people who are interested in the theory underlying the book. But the last chapters, I think, are easily accessible for teachers, policymakers. And so the way it's turned out, I think, makes a really nice contribution. And I also like the fact that internal dialogue is built into the book so that there are two chapters in which people reflect on what it is that the sections have achieved. So I think it turned out really well. And there's speaks to a range of people because of that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And somebody asked me the other night over dinner, they're not people I know well and they're not educators. And they said to me, "Oh, a new book. What's it about?" And I said, "Well, it's about critical literacy." Okay, they said, "So what is critical literacy?" So I found myself explaining. And then they said, "Well, why a new book? Why now? I thought you were retired." And I said, yeah, well, there's just so much going on in the world, so many challenges in terms of, climate change, in terms of conflict, in terms of wealth and poverty. We could go on and on and on. And one of the things that I said to them that excited me the most, I always get excited by, is seeing what early career and mid-career researchers have got to offer, how they're going to push us further and open up new possibilities for critical literacy. And they said, well, give us an example. So it was kind of a good rehearsal for this, really. And so I found myself talking about the Indigenous chapter, about reading climate and how powerful that I think that is, and how Indigenous studies have really put out challenges to pedagogical theory for many, many years. And I think we're really beginning to understand what that means with some depth now. I also told them about the chapter, one of my favorites is the one that deals with humour and how critical literacy has always been a part of everyday practice, a part of everyday life. And one of the ways in which young people and students engage in critical literacy, whether invited or not, is to engage in humour. So they were just two examples, and then they got really interested, and so I was telling them about your colleague's chapter from South Africa, where she argues for translanguaging, children being able to use their many languages in order to learn and to acquire literacy in numerous languages. So, I could go on, but, maybe you want to add to that little selection I've given just off the top there.
Well, one of the things I think in one of the strengths of the selection of chapters and exciting young researchers that we invited to participate is that there's a really strong representation of the global South.
Mhm.
Uh, we've got uh, we've got Colombia, South Africa, Mexico. I think that's amazing.
Australia.
Okay, oh no, you don't count as the global South.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, Anyhow, I mean, I think there's something in the book for everyone, and I hope people enjoy it. It's not a heavy read. Certainly after the first section with the theory, an easy read, I think, but it makes a big contribution.
And there are fabulous chapters too, around decolonialism, including from your colleague Navin and also from other folks, both in Australia, in Colombia, as you've mentioned, in Argentina, really looking at what this means now, to take decolonial approaches to critical literacy. How does this add to what maybe we've done before? And for me, one of the other things that excites me most is the real attention to context and the situated nature of the work that these folks have done with communities and with children and with teachers. Really, really appreciate them. All the chapters, I think they've done an excellent job of nutting out what's really fundamental in their place and why that matters. And I really learnt a lot from reading the chapters.
Yeah,
So that was
and,
exciting.
and then maybe we haven't spoken much about section 2, where they've got the critical literacy frameworks revisited. What I think is helpful about that is that they're all in one place. You don't have to go scratching for them all over. And I think some of those chapters people have really taken care to show the relationship between the challenges and possibilities. And in the case of the multiliteracies framework and S.J. Miller's framework, they have been updating their framework all along. So it's good to have the latest version in place. So,
Absolutely.
Bart, um, both of us appear to have flunked retirement.
Yeah, and on that note, Hilary, perhaps we should pause for now.
Yeah, good.